So let's look at this one. Many people think that every bonsai is the same. Although they may look the same, they are very, very different, believe it or not. So whenever I see a tree, the first thing I do is I look at it from every side to see which is the front and which is the back. Now looking at this tree, if I can leave you to guess, remember what I say, there is no right and a wrong way. What the grower thought it was the front may not be the front in your view, and so on and so forth. I have a feeling this tree was trained with this as the front because it's leaning slightly and this is quite visible, so I guess that this was made as the front. But let's analyze it and show you what goes through my mind. To my way of thinking, this is a possible front, but what is spoiling it is this branch which is hiding the rest of the trunk. You see what beautiful trunk there is there. If they were removed, you will see the whole beauty of this tree is revealed. So these, I think, is spoiling the tree. But before I cut it off, let me look at it from the other side. Don't ever to be too hasty in making decisions, because if you do something in haste, it's like in life, you know, if you act in haste, you'll repent. So don't act in haste, because if you act in haste, you may live to regret it. Same goes with saying things, you know, you wish you hadn't said something. So never act in haste. So I've looked at this side, and this side, the potential is not so great. Okay, so brings me back to this. Have a close look again. Even if I were to remove this branch, this here, I don't think it is as interesting as the other side. This is also cloudy, so this is like a back branch, sweeping branch. So this particular grower, he has this style of making the trees sweep to one side, like a kickback. So straight away, I can tell that I have removed the wires, by the way, they were wired. Now these two branches are in the way. So, seems a shame, but I'm going to take it off. But as I said earlier, ficuses grow from thick cuttings very easily. So if I took care, I will get another little tree from this. So this will make a very nice little informal upright tree. There you go, so that will become a nice bonsai. That will be a cutting. And then, see, already you can see that beautiful trunk by just doing that. Now this, unfortunately, should come off. Now let me use my branch cutter. And let's take this off. I normally do it in two goes, but because I want to save the base for making a nice cutting, I've cut as close as possible to where it should be. That will be another nice little bonsai. So just by removing two of those branches, I have now opened up the front. So opening the front is very, very important, because the beauty of the tree, of all bonsai, is the trunk. If you do not show the trunk, then the tree is not so attractive. And now, this I would say is just about 1 month's growth. Lots of very vigorous rogue shoots. If you didn't control these, they will shoot into the air and will become another tree almost. So again, I know there are lots of fine branches, but they're doing nothing. All these curly branches, they're worth showing. You see, look at these. That beautiful twist and bend. They've taken all the trouble to wire it. So let's show it to the best of its potential. See, this is all grown in the last 2 weeks. Of course, come the winter in the British climate, they're not going to grow so fast. My advice to people who live in cold countries like Europe and the UK, the way to grow ficuses well is probably to grow it in an unheated greenhouse if you have one, and bring it into the house from time to admire, and then quickly return it to the greenhouse and then bring it out from time to time. Because if you keep it permanently in a living room, they will not do well. I have a lot of corporate clients, that means they are banks mainly, banks and architects' offices. They like these big trees, but I always tell them that if you want a tree to look good 12 months of the year, don't expect the tree to be able to do that. You have to have a rotation of trees. That means keep one growing in a greenhouse if you have your own greenhouse, or keep it with us at the nursery, and when the other one gets a bit tired looking, then change it for another one. You see how drastic I'm being? So this side is done. Again, these lovely aerial roots. With these aerial roots, if you like them, then continue to grow them. See, even these fine things, they all become thick aerial roots given time, you see. So that's how you develop it. And you can see you can plait it and twist it, and they become thicker. Most of the ficuses have aerial roots. And in fact, the most famous ficus that has a lot of aerial roots is the banyan tree. The ficus, I think that is called Bengalensis, and that has quite large leaves. They don't make good bonsai, but they have stunning aerial roots. I remember seeing the one in the botanical gardens just outside Calcutta. That one in 2007, when I last saw it, had something like 2,000 separate trunks. These aerial roots touch the ground and become trunks. So this side is done. You see the effect of pruning and not pruning. When you prune it, it becomes so refined. But if you don't prune it, it's just a mass. That, you must admit, is not very nice looking. So how to get it nice looking? The secret again is to show the branches and the trunks. All ficuses are so vigorous. Look at that long shoot. That long shoot, if I can take it off, I'll show you. That is one shoot that has probably grown in the last 3 weeks. So this is where you've got to keep at it. Don't let these road shoots grow. Don't be too greedy. You can't keep them all. So these can be grown into small trees for cuttings, and enjoy the small trees, but keep the big tree looking its best by meticulous pruning like this. So I'm pruning to get back to the branch. See the branch. See, you can't see this branch because it's too cluttered. So what do I do? Let's reduce the foliage somewhat. Everyone has his or her own style of pruning, and I think the fun of bonsai is really to enjoy the pruning process. Look at that. Beautiful cuttings I'm going to get. I'm not going to waste any of this. I'm just going to make masses of cuttings. Give them away or sell them. See how dense it is. These are not the original design. No way was this the original design. These have just grown. And you don't get rid of it, the tree gets spoiled. This was not the original design. Even I dare say this wasn't part of the original design. Let's let it go. going downwards. Now this is the back side. Let's keep looking at the front. See, already it's looking good on this side. I haven't done everything. I've got to do more. You talk of breaking back on old wood. The ficus is the past master of doing that. So vigorous you can't stop it growing. And the wiring has been done in such a way that you create these lovely curves in these branches. They're not just straight, you have to curve it. See that curly shape. And you do that by wiring branches when they're about this thin and then letting it grow. Once it gets to this size, it becomes more difficult. It's possible it becomes more difficult. So depending on where you live, these trees grow at different rates. If you lived out in the tropics, in India or Malaysia, these trees grow at the rate of knots. And if you grow it in the ground, you will lose control in 5 years. They'll become huge trees. But if you grow them in pots all the time, then you have more chance of having good control over it. So this hasn't been trimmed yet. We'll trim that. So it's better to let a tree grow vigorously till it gets a lot of shoots like this and then trim it. If you don't have a lot of shoots, then you won't have much material to trim. See, these straight shoots, they're obviously what we call rogue shoots. They've all grown in the last 3-4 weeks and they've not been wired, so they don't have much character. So it's only when you wire it into these curly shapes that the branches have a lot of interest and character. Okay, this may just seem to be like very random pruning, but I'm keeping an eye on it. You see that conical shape is always there. The basic principles of pruning are the same whether you use tropical trees or temperate climate trees. Showing the branches, showing the tiers and levels between the branches. So it is done well. This is what we call the back. Even this is very interesting. I know that these are commercial trees and planted in these pots. I'm going to change the pots. When I finish them all, I will change all the pots. And you see where they've cut. Like the previous one I showed you, look at that big branch. It must have been a thick branch there that's cut off. That was another branch cut off. And he's obviously cut these thick branches off to make the tree sweep this way. And this must have been a branch coming down. And then where it touched the ground, it started getting thick. So this was all one branch from this part of the tree. And it's touched the ground and it's become thick. I think these would have been probably grown in big pots and then the roots cut to fit into these smaller sized pots. So that is how I've done that tree. Didn't take long if you know what you're doing. So we finished that one. Let's go to another one. Now this one again is different. Every tree is different. Every tree is different. That's why it's so interesting. Now this tree again is like multiple trunks and the same principle. It's one trunk originally sweeping back on itself, and then they've taken that trunk down and it's fused with the base and it's gone further to that side. So this grower loves this style of growing, and the thick branch which was going there, they obviously cut off. You can see the cut so that it doesn't grow tall, but he's forced it to grow shallow and flat. Okay, so let's analyze this tree. So just to show you, if you don't take the wire off in time, I will show you what's happened here. See, this wire has been left on, so the branch has swallowed that wire. I won't try and take it off, I'll just cut it off, because if I try and take it off, I may ruin the bark and may ruin that branch. So I'll just cut it off. No matter, it will continue to grow. And if it is embedded too much, I might leave it. I'll just see if I can get some of it off. If I can get it off, I will. But sometimes if it's embedded, don't worry too much. The tree won't suffer. And even if it leaves bare, what you call it, bark, it will soon grow over. I think we've saved it in time. There you go. But the rest of it seems to be embedded. I'm going to cut that off. Now this tree has more visible conical shape, so there's not much to be done to this. So again, the first thing I do is to decide which is a better side, this side or that side. The choice is yours, purely personal preference. There is always a side that looks better, and you can tell which would have been the front or the intended front and which the back. So at a quick glance, if you look at it from this side and look at it from this side, I think you can more or less tell that this is the intended front. Okay, so let's work with it from this side. And lots of aerial roots. So the aerial roots are a feature of this variety of ficus. So let us de-wire some of the branches, because by de-wiring you can then see what the grower intended the design to be. But as I say, there is no right and no wrong way. See, he's just hooked it to that big trunk and then wired that branch out. Now, to my mind, that branch is not really needed in the design. It's hiding in a lovely trunk, so let's get rid of it. Make a nice cutting from that. Why hide that? No, there's no need to hide that. All that beauty hidden. Same with this. Rather than cut it off completely, I'll just remove the bulk of it. I'll remove 70% of it. Okay, so this one has been wired. It's linked to the trunk. So rather than remove it completely, I'm going to remove part of it like that. Still see the trunk. I think that's just hooked onto the main trunk. He hasn't used two branch principle. No matter. As long as it does the job. See, these are these long shoots. I like to call them rogue shoots. You see how strong and thick they are, coming straight out. Obviously not part of the design. Don't need it, take it out. Again, another shoot. Now, if I wanted to make this into something which is part of the design, I would just wire this outward that way. So that is another possibility. Make the conical shape more obvious. I could do that. So I could leave it, but I won't. It's just showing you the principle, really. I still think this is the better side. Now this did require a lot of training. I think we can even reduce this a little bit. I'm going to put them in different pots so you see the finished article in the new pots. There you are. Look at that very dramatic line. So the trunk line really is starting from here, going there, kicking back on itself, then dropping down and going there. See, this makes a nice pad, but again, this could be regarded as redundant, but I'll leave it for now. I've got to remove some of the wires. There are some wires which are going to get absorbed. So that is another one done. So, as I always say, every tree is different. Now this tree is very, very different. So how is it different? Although the basic style is the same, you know, that sweeping curve coming this way. So let's see what can be done. Now this one, let's see if you can analyze the tree and tell me which you regard as the front and which you regard as the back. I see they've used a lot of plastic string to tie different branches together. I don't know what the purpose was, but you need to get it out, because if you leave them, they can mark the tree. They sometimes are worse than the wires. So they see like that, it's created a very bad groove there. See? So then plastic string can damage the look of it. See, it spoiled the look of that root now. So it just shows how fast these trees grow. I should try and pull it out, but it's embedded in there. Okay, so let's look at the tree from every side, from this side, and then from this side. So the same principle, you know, they've made a sweeping branch. So as before, you see every tree has been done in the same way. There was a thick branch going on there. They chopped that thick branch, which we have gone straight, and encouraged the side branch to grow. So a tall tree cut and the side branch encouraged to grow to this, to give that sweeping look to the tree. Now let's see if I can make this tree different. Now, because all the others are very similar, let me see if I can make this like a semi-cascade tree, because it may lend itself to doing that. So let me prop it up. So if I planted it at this angle, that will make it look more interesting. How about that? If I planted it like that, see, that makes it quite different. So I'm going to put it in like a semi-cascade pot and make the tree grow in this fashion. So let me prop it up, and I'm going to work with this as the design. So this is going to be the design of this tree. I'm doing it just to be different. I don't like to usually do things like that, but maybe I don't want all the things to be the same, because they will say that I only know one song. And it's not that. I know many different songs. But let's sing another song. So that is it. Crying out to become a semi-cascade tree. There you go. But as I've always said, when you grow cascade trees and semi-cascade trees, it's very hard to keep the cascading portion healthy, because the habit of most trees is to shoot upwards. And when you try to encourage the lower portion to be strong, it is almost, I would say, impossible. Almost impossible, because it's going against the nature of the tree. All trees tend to grow upwards, so if you try to make it grow downwards, this part always gets weak. Same goes with our pines and junipers. A very famous pine of mine on the cover of Bonsai Masterclass, over a period of time, it has become so weak that I have had to remove it completely, because it was no longer viable, the cascading part. All the branches keep going upwards. Okay, before I go too far, let's change it, because I want to now create the pads going this way, because I've changed the angle of planting. So we've got to make these branches go this way. So let's put some wires on and see if we can change it. And I'll see that I've saved all this wire. If I've saved this wire, I might as well use it again. Practice what I preach. They're not thrown away. Every bit of wire I use again. So with this piece of wire, let me wire these two branches. Two branch principle, as always. This just shows that even with tropical trees, many people who grow these tropical trees think that they can get away with shaping the trees without wire. I think it is difficult. It's possible, but very difficult. Wire makes everything so easy. Okay, this becomes a horizontal branch, so it's going to grow this way. Let me see what I've done. Just a flat plane like that. And this one also I will have to do something to that, so I'm going to change this one. This, by the way, is 3.5 millimeter wire. So I'm still wiring anti-clockwise, now that I've been talking about the direction of wiring. Think about it. When you next wire, just see which way you're wiring. I have this theory is that the right-handed people prefer to do it one way and the left-handed people do it another way. That means we do it anti-clockwise. Okay, that wire is the right grade. I'm going to make another flat here. So I'm changing the design of the original tree because I've changed the angle of the tree. Now this little shoot I'm not going to cut off because I can train it this way to form another pad in this direction. So when it grows a bit stronger, I will probably wire that one. Now do I need this or not? So you see, this is hiding that beautiful trunk there. So let me cut it. It's hard to rewire it. I think I can make it go this way. Let's cut it from here. And this one I will wire this way to go this way. I know you will just turn on and say to me, easier said than done, but how do we know how much to cut? Go with what feels right. You see, this is still a bit congested. I need to thin that. Continue taking these off. Make this flat. See, now these areas are going that way. I think we may need to take it out and put it in a pot vertical. So we'll deal with that when we come to repotting the tree. Even bonsai scissors are very sharp. Now that one, I would call it a rogue shoot. If the original design was that way, I would have cut it off. But because I want the crown, I'm going to let that grow, because I could wire it at a later stage. See, I've already got that beautiful crown there. I reckon this is the most satisfying tree I've created today. So wait till we pot it up and you will see what the tree looks like in the end. Okay, so that's where we got. Now we're going to choose these pots. These are cascade or semi-cascade pots. I brought that one out. It's the right shape, but it's much too big, so it would look lost. And if I tried the next size down, the next size down is this one, no way will it fit that. That's much too small. So although I've got thousands and thousands of pots on our nursery, you'll be surprised that it's always difficult to find the exact pot that fits a particular tree. Now this one is probably more hopeful. So this one I think would do. So I will pot this one up. Now with ficuses, I think I can risk it because I can provide some heating in the greenhouse and make sure it comes through. So I will pot this up. I'm not going to show the repotting of the other trees because they're pretty straightforward, but this one being so different, I thought I'd show you this one. The others are just putting it in another pot. Just to encourage these roots to grow better, I'm going to put sphagnum moss around it, just to encourage more rapid formation of roots. So it's like a big air layering. And when the roots have grown, I will remove the moss and then put soil around it. Let's put it back on the bench and let's have a look at the tree. So this one is radically different. I think that is good pot. I like it flaring out because it lifts the tree. You know, that fluted, outward curving shape of the pot gives it a different feeling, gives it a lighter feeling. So I hope you've enjoyed all these different ficuses that I've done. They're all different, and look at all these cuttings. I'm going to have a busy evening and night making cuttings right into the night. There you go. Spent the morning, you won't believe, I did 5 of these, and this is what Thibaut did yesterday. So there are 6 in all. This I did literally in about half an hour. This cascade one, which was on the last video. This was not shown, but this was done by Teemill. And you can see how we've changed it by putting it in these nice pots. They look completely different trees. Look at them. We will now put it on the turntable one at a time. If I get someone strong, David is going to put them all one at a time, and we're going to take pictures of them. So, oh, he did the repotting, very good. He's one of our new staff. Come this way, Jack, and have a look.
You can tell it around his boss.
So we have a choice. This is the preferred front. This is the one I said we need to develop more of a crown there. But look at the beauty of the trunk on that one. And lovely repotting. Lovely, very nicely done. So then the next one, I can't get over how these trees have been transformed. Look at that, look at that. This one looks nice from both sides. Very nice choice of pot. We've used an oval pot, deepish pot, nice aerial roots. As I said, I don't like too many aerial roots because if there are too many aerial roots, they look very confusing. And in fact, they don't look very nice. But look at it. Again, this is a tree that looks nice from either side. This side or this side. So you don't always have to have one front. Okay, then the next one. This is massive. Look at it. Again in an oval pot. We've left quite a few aerial roots. This is my preferred front. But again, if you like it from this side, this is also nice. So these would make beautiful bonsai in an office. In fact, if you have several, how impressive would that be? I must say the character of all of them are different. Again, quite a few aerial roots. So we cut off 2 branches from there. Beautiful characterful trunk. I like this branch jutting out. Again, this side is not bad, you know. Both sides are nice. Both sides are nice. But the point is we've transformed it no end. Okay?